Hey guys, let me tell you about Pumpkina Autumnwind. Alright, she's the Saint of All Hallows Eve. You see, the previous, Saint of All Hallows Eve was, getting too old, so they decided, hey, I'm gonna infuse my power into this little pumpkin seed, and, decide to reincarnate her into the new Saint of All Hallows Eve. So the pumpkin seed was given to this couple that, didn't have any children and kind of wanted one. So they kind of grew the pumpkin, and inside of it was Pumpkina Autumnwind, and she has the powers of Halloween. One of her abilities allows her to infuse costumes and mask with powers of Halloween, which she can use to basically fight monsters as well as evil spirits, which she can use, which go and as well as has the power to ferry the dead to the afterlife. Which, for the good dead, they get to basically go off to a paradise world where they can, visit Earth and, party party in the holiday lands if they really want to. Well, the bad ones just go to the abyss, and that's where all the big bad evil spirits are. Yeah, of all the bad guys in the world, when they die. And fortunately, Professor Spectre, who's kind of, one of the villains, who's like a serial killer who used to be a former child psychologist, he kind of, released everybody from he kind of released all those evil spirits from the abyss, and they're kind of causing chaos all over the world and all that, of, Earth Eye. Yeah, he kind of, did as part of his studies on fear. He just kind of wanted to see how the reaction, kind of study it, on, his level. Yeah. Typical of him. By the way, Professor Spectre, is dressed in a ghost costume, and he kind of lives in haunted houses where he kind of, uses powerful hallucinations to kind of, make it seem more spooky than it really is. Kind of like, yeah, sort of like that one villain in your Resident Evil Village. Oh wait, yeah. So he's kind of one of the major villains that she fights. Anyway, Pumpkina Autumnwind also allows for communion with the dead, as well as hey, when we wear those costumes and go out with and mask, we do have the power to transform into all those various forms that of the costumes, and gain different abilities of them. She can even give those abilities to people who haven't awakened their true arts, and give them the ability to use those powers, basically. Of course, that's not all she can really do, but she does have other powers too, yeah. Anyway, I'll see you later. Remember, fly like bat and shine like the man, for we your stuffed dreams are made of. And I think the holidays are definitely a good dream. Especially things like Halloween. They're quite fun. Bye-bye.